rights and wrongs of YouTube film critics. This is the OTOT podcast, and this is our thoughts on YouTube film critics, Martin Scorsese, the MCU, chick flicks, video game criticism, whole shebang-a-bang. I am Shakari Khalil Gasson.
I'm Alex.
It's Ali.
It's Jason.
Yeah. So I think for me, big thing that I dislike within the film world and community, and I think it's a thing that's kind of been, I don't know, like around for all of us. That's what all of us that watch YouTube or whatever is like YouTube film critics, and I adamantly dislike them. I think I have yet to find a YouTube film critic that I enjoy and that I don't find pretentious. And it's not even honestly just the film side of YouTube. It's honestly with music too. I see it a lot. But I think for me, the biggest couple of reasons, and we can kind of get into if you guys agree or disagree, the biggest reasons that I find myself, or at least drew away from film critic, because I used to be all up in it when I was like in high school, just like, oh, your movie sucks, tell me what to think. Yeah. But I feel like I think my biggest thing is that I feel like a lot of them have fallen into their own hype. They believe that their opinion is more valuable, and they disguise that through, oh, it's just my opinion, but also they belittle people for disagreeing with them. So that's like the biggest thing for me is why I don't do it. And there's also just a lot of like smaller things. Like I think the other thing really is there's always this air of them thinking that they could have done it better that I really dislike. I've never enjoyed that. So
Okay.
that's like the main two reasons. But we can really like, do you guys like, what's your kind of like
Before we get into that, I want to know like who it is that you've been watching that you feel has like come to this conclusion.
Yeah, I used to watch like, what's the guy do? I Hate Everything. I used to watch Your Movie Sucks or Ralph the Movie Maker.
CinemaSins?
CinemaSins, yeah.
Yeah.
I used to, like just like whatever the kind of like the popular kind of
Okay.
movie reviewers, especially like mid 2010s. I was watching that, and like I fell out of it because I think a lot of them are just like obnoxious now. But yeah, those are kind of the ones I was watching. Do you guys have any? Like I think Cosmonaut Picture Show. He was the one where I was like, okay, I'm done. I don't want to watch any reviewers anymore for like anything. So do you guys have any that where you're like, oh, these are the guys that I watched or whatever?
Not necessarily. I mean, I did watch CinemaSins. I have not seen them in a very long time. I might have seen maybe a couple of Your Movie Sucks. But
Yeah.
I mean, in terms of like actual like YouTube critics, I don't think I've seen a whole lot of them. And it could be because like I said, I did see CinemaSins and like I stopped watching as soon as he started to fall off. And so I just bad experiences kind of turned me off of them, and so I have not watched any in a very long time. I mean, with that being said, I have talked about this before on the show, but I've like two of the YouTubers that I watch a lot right now are Local Scriptman and Thomas Flight, who don't necessarily do full film criticisms, but they kind of criticize, or Local Scriptman specifically criticizes writing, and then Thomas Flight likes to criticize maybe it's for a certain film it's the editing, or for a certain film it's the color or something like that. And I think that is a lot better because they have very limited scope and they're trying to give their own opinion and approach it in a very like objective way, which I think is interesting.
Because I think like for me the big like because I can watch film analysis. Like if you if you're like analyzing a film and you're like this thing didn't like hit as hard as like emotionally as whatever else, that's fine. But I think like there's just like some like I said, just some film critics who just like this air of like self-importance and arrogance that I find myself really disliking.
Okay.
But I wanted to ask like, so do you guys, Jason or Ollie, do you guys really watch like film critics, or have you had like any like experiences with them? Are you like, yeah, I fuck with Your Movie Sucks or like CinemaSins?
It's been But go ahead
You
on.
can go, Jason. Oh,
Oh.
Let him know.
you can go, Jason.
I would say I not really just because I find those people to be so pretentious sometimes that I can't take it. And it really started for me with CinemaSins because I'm like, come on, bro. He would just rate everything as bad without like really thinking about why it's in the movie or whatever. It's like not all movies suck, bro. You can calm down. Not all movies suck. Some things are just meant to be fun. And are meant to be fun and have fun with them. Not everything has to be this masterpiece, Martin Scorsese type level film. And he was a real annoying about that.
Do you see that in video game criticism though? Because like
Oh,
for me
100%.
specifically, it's like film critics, but we can talk about like any type of like just like I feel like critics on YouTube in general just lack scope. So do you see that? Do you see that a lot in like video game type
The
reviews?
video game criticism
IGN.
community is so.
And it really makes
We
you
could have did
feel
that.
like crap, man.
I'm never gonna get into them. It's video essayists entirely. Freaking, I know, guys. I know I recommended him in our like what we're watching video, Patrician TV. I find that dude so annoying now because all his criticism is literally just non-criticism. It's like, yeah, Skyrim's
It's
not as
been
good as Morrowind. No, it's like Skyrim's not
It's
as
been
good as
like 5
Morrowind.
weeks.
yeah.
It's been like he did a Skyrim video. He did a Skyrim video, and he's like, Skyrim is not as good as Morrowind because it tells you where to go. Yeah, nobody wants to play a game where I have to write in a real life journal to figure out where I want to go. Nobody wants to play that. If you want to play that type of video game, you're a nerd and you're a loser. It's as simple as you can don't do that. I play video games to have fun.
Yeah.
That's what I do. So like YouTube criticism is so annoying. I love it. I love it when people act like some of these video games are just supposed to be these magnificent pieces of art, and I'm like, no, bro. It's Call of Duty. It's made literally in a factory. It's made in a factory every year to be the same game.
But it's got the Nicki
There's not-
Minaj skin.
And the 21 Savage one.
And the 21
And
Savage
people-
skin. That's true.
Hey, and they got the Spawn skin, so I can't even hate. Can't even hate. But still,
But yeah,
like, people need to calm down.
Ollie, do you really have anything with YouTube critics in general?
When I was younger, like I think like junior year of high school, I used to watch a lot of YouTube critics, like movie and TV critics, but like they were always so negative, and I was just like, damn, I don't really need this in my life. If I'm gonna watch the movie, I'm gonna watch the trailer, and if I like the trailer, I'll watch it. And if I don't like the movie, it's
Too bad.
yeah, that's whatever. Yeah. Like I found myself watching Cinema Wins a lot.
Yeah,
and
I like Cinema Wins.
Some other, I can't really think of their name right now. But like just more positive YouTube reviewers.
Yeah, for sure. Because I feel like with critics, like I feel like these critics who like base so much of their appeal is in negativity. I think that's another thing that I dislike. So much of what draws, because I remember, I think I watched was it your movie? So he did a review for Across the Spider-Verse, and he gave it like I think like a 7 or something or whatever, which isn't the issue. Like you can think what I think like number scales are stupid, but that's whatever. That's a different conversation. But the people in his comments who seemingly were like wanted him to be like Across the Spider-Verse sucked and wasn't as good as everyone said it was. Like people like wanted him to like. I feel like the people who enjoy that type of content the most, they want validation in disliking something. They want a popular person to be like, actually, this thing everybody likes, it wasn't as good as you think it is, and you're wrong and a jackass.
But that's the thing with like everything that anybody makes. It's all just your opinion on whether or not you like it. Like if you don't like it, shut up and sit in the corner. If you do like it, shut up and sit in that corner. Like
yeah, for sure.
Bro,
I do want to.
No one cares.
I do want to ask a clarifying question then.
Yeah, for sure.
It's in the name of criticism, right? Critics means that they are going to be finding something bad with it, right? It's criticism. And so at what point do you think that criticism like has merits? Like, are you saying it should never be used to like diminish or demean?
No, I mean, because we criticize movies all the time, but I think I think there's like there has to be some recognition of the fact. There has to be some recognition of the idea of like, okay, like, because criticism, yes, it is criticizing something, but criticism doesn't mean like there's positivity in criticism. I think there's a way to be like, I like this thing and I dislike this thing, and it's a line that I don't think some YouTube film critics have, where it's just like they'll spend like 10 minutes talking about everything they disliked, everything they thought was wrong, and they'll spend like I actually watched this was another Across the Spider Verse review where it was like he spent like the first 2 minutes of his video like, oh, I guess since I have to, so people don't think I'm biased, I'll say I like XYZ about Into the Spider Verse, and then the next like 10 minutes of the video was here's why this movie sucks, here's why it's inconsistent, here's why everything is wrong with it, and that's just like you can't if you're gonna be a critic, I think, and nobody's completely unbiased, but you have to at least try to be close to that instead of just saying like, well, I don't want people to think I'm gonna like put up this fake argument so that people can be like, well, I said this thing, see, you can't say I like just hated it, but so that's my thing.
Okay.
So you're
Okay.
saying they need to like provide the good and the bad?
Yeah, for sure, and I don't feel like enough of them do that. Like that's like my thing.
Right.
They don't enough of them don't do that for it to be like worth watching or worth like taking seriously as a criticism.
Gotcha. And I think you brought up an interesting point about the stuff that I watch is like primarily right now it's analysis. It's not criticism. At what point do you think that or do you think that criticism should be more or lean towards analysis more than it should be towards like opinionated?
Yeah, I think with film, like if you're like saying something and like fully breaking, because I feel like with analysis, the appeal to me is that as opposed to criticism is that they are breaking down something and saying this is what I took from this thing. Whereas with criticism, it just seems like it doesn't. It just feels like saying I didn't like this thing without like looking at it within the context of why it's happening. It very much just feels like I didn't necessarily like the camera work for this shot, or I didn't like the dialogue in the scene. And you can do that with analysis too. But I feel like with analysis, there's more of like a breakdown of themes that goes with it. It's a more well-rounded discussion of an overall film rather than just like a very myopic kind of this is what I liked and this is what I didn't like.
Okay. Okay. I want to put this question out to Ollie and Jason then. Where do you lean more towards liking analysis versus criticism?
I like analysis more than criticism, but I feel like some people overanalyze too. Like it still is filled with its own sort of issues as well. Um, I do the video like I don't watch as much film analysis as I do video game analysis, but dude, some of these people are like over analyzing so much. It's like, bro, it's in the game because it's fun.
And so when you say video game analysis, where like a film you analyze basically purely on like visuals, or story or whatever, the video game, are they breaking down like mechanics or is it all just story?
Gameplay, story. I mean, so like, if stuff that will be analogous to film, right? So it'd be the story of the game, like how you would analyze the story of the movie, that type of stuff. But it's not, like I said, some of it is just so over the top for no reason. It's very frustrating, very annoying.
Okay. And Ali,
I would lean. Oh, excuse me. Damn. I would lean more towards analysis, because with analysis, you can like break down everything to like a certain thing that you want to focus on, like just like the camera work and the movie, TV, or game or whatever. So because of that, like it's not going after. They're not like trying to do too much at once. So
right.
that's why I like it.
Okay. Okay. I guess a question I have for Trakari now is who should be allowed to give their opinion? Like, does it have to come from? Does it have to
Just
come from
me,
someone?
actually.
Just you? Okay, yeah.
Just me, nobody else.
Does it have to come from like someone who has experience doing
Yeah,
like
for sure.
making a film, or can it be
I
anyone who just enjoys watching?
I think anyone can share their opinion
Okay.
about film. I think I think anyone can share their opinion. I just think that like there has to be some recognition of I I haven't done this before though. It's like why I had to stop
Right.
watching Anthony Fantano's reviews of different albums because it's
Sure.
like you can say like this is what's wrong with this. Like you can say like this is bad and this is bad and this is bad. But if you don't do something, if you also don't do that thing, it's hard to just like it's hard to understand. It's hard to have perspective. It's like when we criticize Star Wars or Marvel or whatever. Like we can say all this stuff, but I think at least for me, I recognize I've never had a studio, a major studio interfere with my work. I've never had a studio say, you have to do this. I've never had a studio take what I filmed in post that wasn't even supposed to be there and just make that the movie because they didn't like my vision. I've never had all these factors involved. So he criticizing it is yes, this thing is bad, but also there's some like acknowledgement of like I've also never had to do what they've done. Like I was talking to my room about this. Like if if like somebody came to me and said, here is like $300 million, go make a Transformers movie that makes like $800 million, I'd probably fail. Like I could probably make a movie that I really liked, but I probably but a movie that was universally like liked and that made a whole bunch of money, like I don't think any of us could do that because we haven't done it before. Like there's a reason why those guys get paid the amount of money they do to make what they do. So I think like anyone can share their opinion, but you just have to recognize that like there's more going on than what you may think, and like you have to factor that into your opinion, I believe.
Right, right. And the only reason I brought that up is because I know a topic that you want to talk about, and maybe we can talk about it today, or maybe we can save it for a separate episode entirely. But I just think that it would, like, for what we're talking about right now, it kind of plays in pretty well. Is Martin Scorsese's like criticism of the Marvel universe,
Yeah,
like,
yeah.
um, coming from
We
him,
can
who
talk.
is an
Yeah,
incredibly accredited director, to
yeah.
say that he believes, and paraphrasing, but like all Marvel movies are trash. How do you feel, like, based on your criteria of him having that experience of dealing with a major studio or and like having making films of his own?
Don't get me wrong. Big directors can still be wrong. Like
Okay.
he's like wrong. You know, like Martin Scorsese, like he, and I don't know how much this ties in. He seems to think that that the MCU is stealing spotlight from these other films, but the truth is, like whatever movie he thinks would, and his argument is Christopher Nolan, the guy who directed the Batman and Tenet. Like that's ridiculous.
Hey, but to
But
be fair, none of his movies have ever done as well as the Batman movies in terms of just
true.
pure money made. I'm sure I didn't just make up that number. That
But also like it just that may be true, but I feel like there's always been a place for big blockbusters. Like it's not new. Like it's not like, and if it wasn't like a big action, it was like a rom com with like what, Julia Roberts or something, or like some movie with like Jennifer Gardner, like or Mean Girls. Like there's always been a genre that's dominated at one period of time, and right now it's just superhero movies, and we're already seeing it come to an end. Like sure, it lasted a little bit longer than maybe like any other genre did, but like we're at the end. We're already seeing like the artsy film make the comeback, even though it never left. You just didn't want to look for like quality content. So Martin Scorsese's fucking wrong and a bitch.
Okay.
whoa!
Oh, okay.
Oh,
Okay. Okay.
that
Well,
Dang.
was
Ali, how do you
hmm.
feel about that? Do you think that, like Jakari was saying, that criticism should be accepted more when it's coming from someone who has those similar experiences?
I mean, yeah, all criticism coming from a respected source is, I'm gonna back it more than some random Joe Schmo. So,
Okay. Okay. And so, how do you feel
um,
about Martin Scorsese's comments on Marvel?
everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Okay.
I say that.
Jason, what do you think, Jason? Do you think Martin
I,
Scorsese's right?
I don't think Harvey Scorsese is saying that wrong. I just think you also, as an individual, have to realize that Marvel makes the fast food of movies. Like they're not trying to make something that's artsy fartsy. They want you to come in. They want you to put your butt in the seat, watch it, and go on Twitter and be like, "Man, that cameo was so good." And that's the type of movies they make. They make.
Is that
Hey,
not
there's
what the
nothing
Wolf of
wrong.
Wall Street was? That's what the Wolf of Wall Street was.
I don't agree with
I don't-
that, but
Yeah,
I don't think
you
so.
Was
went
it
too
not like a
depth.
star-studded cast that was carried mostly by like a charismatic group of people rather than its story?
I guess, but it is like I do think that there is like an actual story to it that's like well thought
Yeah.
out and it's based on someone's life. So I feel like there's more to
Yeah.
it than it's just being like, hey, we got these people together. Which I mean, I don't know who
Yeah.
directed I don't know. The first thing that jumps out in my mind is Amsterdam. Can't remember who directed that. Was it David O. Russell?
I'm not sure. Is
But
that with Christian Bale and Margot Robbie?
yeah, and
Isn't that the movie where Taylor Swift gets run over by a car in the
yes, it
beginning?
is. Yeah, but that
Yeah,
whole
I love
but
that
like
movie.
yeah, it is.
I've only seen that scene.
It's also
I-
got John David Washington.
Yeah.
And like the whole premise of that movie is like, oh, we have all these like really big name actors together. The movie is shit.
Yeah.
I feel like that just happens sometimes. I feel like that just happens. Like it's like no matter what you do, some movies are just fundamentally broken from the start. Like most Marvel movies.
Yeah, I
Yeah,
know, but
totally.
I'm trying to go against Shikari's point of Wolf of Wall Street by saying like even though it has all of these big name actors together, it still has a compelling story, which makes the movie worth watching.
I don't know. Did you guys see the report? And this will say something that Marvel didn't know that Quantumania was a bad movie. They thought that they had put out a banger.
That's so based.
Yeah, I was like, they thought they had put out a banger. Didn't know that nobody was gonna like it.
How did they?
Yeah.
How did they
How
not
does
know?
that happen?
Because Marvel's been in its own bubble for so long. They've really not had any competition. It's not like DC's been putting out any
This could have
competition.
gone on Twitter. What?
Well, I will say
X.
that Twitter
Excuse me.
isn't
It's
real.
X, yeah, that's
Twitter
right.
isn't real. Like
You're
Twitter
right, it's
means
not real. It's X.
people. Yeah, well, sorry. X isn't real. People give too much credence
Is it
to
more or
like
less real
Twitter.
than Threads?
Threads is the realest, bro. Threads is the realest.
Exactly.
Everybody knows that.
We're gonna say
We gotta get us Snapchats that real. You already know.
Yeah. Hey, I'm
But-
saving real single-handedly each and every day.
Yeah.
I'm
But
trying.
like, I guess like going back to like
Mhm.
YouTube criticism. So I'm not necessarily YouTube criticism. So we're talking about like I don't know. So for you, Alex, what do you think about the Martin? Do you think like someone with that position can be wrong, or do you think it's just like well, like, or do you treat what they say as kind of like the authority almost?
I don't know. I do understand what you're saying of respecting the opinion of someone that has gone through similar experiences, but I also think that criticism should be open to everybody in the sense of like it doesn't matter whether or not they've made a movie to like be able to critique a movie just as easily as someone who has.
Yeah.
And so I don't know if asking me about like Martin Scorsese's specific like topics of Marvel, I don't believe that he's correct. I think he's more correct than you guys are in agreement with, but
What is he correct about?
I do think that Marvel has generally trended downhill. If you look at the like Phase 1 versus Phase 4, Marvel has trended downhill. And so I
I
do
agree with
understand that
that,
like
yeah.
they like Marvel is ruining cinema because they're bringing in bigger like audiences than their Phase 1, but they're putting out worse content. And so I do feel like their trend is downwards. But to say like that his opinion should be respected more than anyone else's is like I don't agree with that.
I think like just speaking in general with like people, like I think once again I do think that like I kind of agree with Ollie with what Ollie was saying, where it's just kind of like for me, if you're someone who's done it, like I am going to listen to you a little bit more, but with the Martin Scorsese situation, just because you've done it doesn't mean I'm going to think that you're right. Just because I'm giving your opinion a little bit more weight doesn't mean that I'm going to think that like what you're saying is correct, you know? And
Right.
unrelated,
And that's
yeah, sorry, go.
and that's the key. It's his opinion. Like
Yeah.
he doesn't make Marvel movies. So what he would make, given all the same information that they had, he would probably make something different. Maybe it'll be better. Who knows?
Imagine Killers of the Flower Moon as a Marvel movie.
You think Martin Scorsese would have made a good Captain America movie? It would have just been Steve Rogers saying the N-word for like an hour. For 3 hours, actually.
Hey, you're saying that's not a good movie?
I would like that.
He would have been he would have been in the 50s and 60s. It would have been
Exactly.
He would have been a part of the Irish mob.
Imagine him waking up and seeing Nick Fury running shit.
He would never. He would never.
Oh man, but yeah, I feel like
You let the Who vote?
leave that in. But yeah, I feel like ultimately like there's like middle ground between criticism, like, and going back to YouTube specifically, like I feel like for me, I don't give them the same leeway that I give Martin Scorsese for, like, because Martin Scorsese is like whatever, you know. But like if you're like some dumbass YouTuber, like I feel like you being like Marvel is killing movies is a lot different than Martin Scorsese saying Marvel is killing movies, you know?
I do think there's tiers to levels of opinion, right? Like, if the random person comes up to me and is like, yeah, man, that new Marvel movie was so poorly shot, I'm gonna look at you like, what do you know about poorly shot and written movies? But if like freaking, Martin Scorsese or Christopher Nolan comes up to me and is like, yeah, that movie was poorly directed, I'm gonna be like, oh, okay. There's more credence to what you're saying because you have like experience in this area.
Sorry.
What was that?
No, keep going. Sorry, don't worry.
So what if Martin Scorsese or Christopher Nolan walk up to you, Jason, and they say that Marvel movie was so poorly shot? How would you feel towards that? Like,
I'd be like, well, I mean, he knows more than I do, so he must know
but
something I know.
he's not. I mean, they're not Roger Deakins. They're not Hoyt van Hoytema. Like, they aren't cinematographers. How can they speak on what's good, what's correctly shot, and what's not?
Because they are like some of the best directors. I don't want to say of our generation because they're way older than us, but of the current time.
So you're basically saying because they're like close to it, that like gives them, like, even if they're not directly doing it, because they're close to it, that's what gives them like.
Yeah, they just know more than me, right? Like,
Yeah.
I'm not a mechanic. If a mechanic comes up to me and is like, "Yeah, man, there's something wrong with your Toyota. This Toyota isn't put well together," I'd be like, "Yeah, must not be."
Me, I'm getting a second opinion.
But what if a car salesman walks up to you and says your Toyota's not put well together?
See, if the car salesman comes up to me and is like, "Well, your car's not put well together," I'd be like, "Well, what you know about cars, my guy?" But if you're a mechanic,
but you're saying because they're close, the car salesman works in the same place as the mechanic does.
Yeah. Whoa. Not necessarily. The car mechanic might work at the same place as the salesperson, but because of where they are, their opinions have different levels of importance. It's just how it is. Like,
when you hear like me,
when
or
your mom
Alex or
tells
Ollie,
you, like, no, like if your mom comes up to you and they're like, "Son, that outfit isn't right," I'm gonna listen to my mom. I'm like, "Well, my mama said this outfit not fitting today."
She's clearly never said that to you.
You didn't put that shit on.
But to me, you just be like, "Son, that's not it." I'm like, "Okay, mama, you might know a little something." And some random person who I don't know and don't care about comes up to me and is like, "Yeah, man, I don't like your shoes." I'm gonna be like, "I don't care." So it's like about it. That's how I feel. Like some random YouTuber who's never made a movie, who's never made a show, who's never done anything but sit in their room all day and complain about movies. I don't care what your opinion is because it's just immediately of less value.
So I do have a question for you then. So you've obviously seen some of the stuff I've made. Do you think does that allow you to respect my opinion about like film, or do you still treat it just kind of like?
I respect your opinion more than I respect some other people's opinion because at least you've actually done it. You tried.
Whose opinion don't you respect?
Let's
know.
I'm not gonna say their name. Let me not call people out right now. But I just obviously have more respect because obviously actually done it. So it's just kind of it's a balancing act. That's how it is. It's like That's just true. I don't know how to
So
explain
like,
it. It's just a thing.
I did want to ask. So like, for like, what would it like kind of take then? So like, what would you have for like, for example, whatever the creator just talked about, who you stopped liking for like 5 weeks? What would it have to change for for you to be
You said
like,
it was what,
okay,
Patrician TV?
Yeah, I can pull. I'll pull it there. I forget
yeah.
unsubscribe. I don't ever unsubscribe to people, so you know.
So what would it take for you to have to like? What would they have to do differently for you to be like, okay, I can like listen to this guy again?
All right, I'll pull up
That
the
question
YouTube
honestly goes to
channel.
everybody.
I know my exact breaking point with this dude.
Uh, I'm I'm gonna say like once they fall off,
It's done. It's
That's
over.
it?
it's pretty much done.
They
Like
can't
I
come
don't think
back?
I'm ever. They can probably make a comeback and like bring their audience back or whatever. But
For
me
you,
personally,
you're a
I'm
hater for
good.
life.
I'm good.
So how
Because
do you
like
feel about like
if I
yeah?
binge watch your videos and I see that shit again, I'm done. That's how I operate on YouTube.
Alex, is it the same for you? Are you just can
No,
they
I feel like I can give people a second chance. I mean,
yeah.
You better than me.
I say that I say that and I cannot for the life of me think of a time where I've done that, but
Yeah. I feel like some like I remember Jason said some meme about some girl and you were like, I blocked her immediately.
Mhm. Oh, the girl
It was
who
like
does like
yeah,
the puns.
yeah,
yeah,
oh
she does
that's
like the
true.
dad jokes.
That's true. Yeah, I
Yeah.
did block her immediately.
Oh, hey, they
Oh
funny to
shit.
me. They funny to me. That's all I can say. They're funny to
Okay.
me. They have me back.
It's since I've blocked her, she will never pop up again, and so I don't
Can't
have to
give her
give
the
her a
second
second
chance.
chance.
No, can't give her a second chance if she doesn't show up.
Oh boy.
Oh,
It's
So
like
so what would he have to do differently, Jason?
what would he have to do differently, bro? That
Yeah.
dude, that Patrician TV dude. I was just watching back at it, and I remember the specific breaking point. He was doing a live stream talking about Starfield, and his guest in the Starfield live stream was like, yeah, this game is honestly worth like 30 bucks, something like that. And I got so frustrated because I'm like, you know so little about how video games are made, how expensive things are, but because this game doesn't fit your check all your boxes, you immediately think it's less than. Is very annoying to me. Just because I personally don't like something doesn't mean it's bad. Like, there's lots of things I don't like.
Well,
Um,
okay. Well, even if you
uh,
don't like, what's a game you don't like? Like, what is a video game that you know
like
you do
what?
not like?
Oh, I can't stand Fortnite. Fortnite is not
Fortnite.
a bad game. Like, I legitimately cannot say dude, it's Fortnite, League of Legends, and anything with like that anime cartoony art style. I can't stand it to save my life. But
Okay.
I know those things
JRPGs.
aren't
So
bad.
so what happens
Whoa,
if
I
someone
think Final
what
Fantasy
happens if
7
someone
is a
tried to
good game.
sell Fortnite? Like if Epic Games comes out tomorrow and they're like Fortnite's $70, would you complain and say it should be free?
Well, because it's already been free, I'd be like, yeah. But let's say if they had always charged for it, where Fortnite is now and Fortnite Century Sector, you get access to all that content for $70. I spent $70 on a game that's crap. Where is it at? Where is I can show you? This game cost me $70,
Is that
What
and it
is
Midnight
was
that game?
so
Suns?
worth it. That's
What
Midnight
game
Suns.
is
It's
that?
good.
I
It's
thought
a
I
good
gave you my
game.
code for Midnight Suns.
I didn't know you had a code for Midnight Suns. I bought it for PS5.
Oh,
Is that
it
turn
came with my
based?
it came with my computer, and I messaged you. I was like, "Hey, I am not gonna play this. Do you want it?"
I don't remember
Fucking
that.
turn based combat. Turn based combat sucks.
No, I had no issue with the turn-based combat. Well, calm
Marvel
down.
Snap.
Calm down. Yeah, Marvel Snap, come on now. I like Final Fantasy. I like the newer Final Fantasies, to be honest. I like the more action RPG, but I like Persona. I love Persona. Speaking of Persona, let me show you that. I have so many games. Like yo, this game does not suck. This is that Persona 5 Royal Collector's Edition case. But I have plenty of games behind me that suck, and just because I don't like it doesn't mean it's bad. I don't like Injustice. Is Injustice a bad fighting game? No, by no means. There's way worse fighting games. Freaking, have you played
Brawlhalla.
oh, Brawlhalla? Lethal League Blaze? So it's like people just need to calm down about what they call bad and what they say sucks because not a lot of things truly suck. Like I only have one video game on my shelf but I can say truly sucks. Where is it at?
You gonna
Which
pull
one is
back
it?
out Midnight Suns?
Go pull back. No, this is Far Cry Primal.
Oh yeah.
This game truly sucks.
Do you
I
think
hope I have
Drake
the disc
truly
in.
sucks?
Do I think Drake truly sucks? Oh, I think I do think Drake truly sucks because all of Drake's stuff is ghost written. Let's be real now. Let's be real now.
Okay, so
Okay.
should someone take your opinion on Drake then seriously then? Why should someone respect your opinion on Drake? Are you just a guy in somebody else's eyes?
I'm just a guy in somebody else's life. Don't ever respect my opinions because I switch up all the time. Don't ever.
Clearly.
Yeah, I'm Mister with the switch up, bro. One day I'll think something, but I'll text you in the next 2 hours and be like, "No, I changed my mind." I'm in complete agreement. Like, you don't take my opinion too seriously. There's some things that my opinion is like hard set on, but I'm like, yeah, no. Like, you talk to me about video games. Video games are my special interest. You want to see somebody go super autistic talking to me about video games, but otherwise, man, just not much I know. Like,
I go
I know
nonverbal talking about video games.
bro. I go insane. I'm going niche interest for niche interest right now. You don't know nothing about it.
Okay. All right. Ali, I wanna ask you. All right.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah.
I want to ask you, what would make you, like you said, you don't watch YouTube film critics, right? What would make you start watching them? Is there anything at all? Like, no, that's it.
I think that's it. Like,
Okay.
CinemaSins or Cinema Wins is like the only one that I watch, and I only like watch a video maybe once a month. So I don't know. I just have to be bored, I guess. Bored enough.
Yeah, I did want to kind of go into that because we did talk about. Do we all kind of say Cinema Wins is cool? Is that what we all?
I've never seen Cinema Wins, so.
Okay,
It's like CinemaSins, but better.
Yeah,
it's like cinema. Yeah.
I think what he does well, and this kind of like the general think of what we've been saying the entire time. It's like even when he acknowledges like stuff sucks, like he reviews movies that like even he's like this movie didn't hit all the way. This movie like could have done this better, and I think that's all like I want from like YouTube critics. I'm not asking them to like go out and make their own movie. I'm just asking them to have a little bit of perspective. Just be like, okay, you know what? I didn't like this thing, but that doesn't just because everybody else doesn't mean I need to go on like an hour-long rant about why like the Joker sucks and how anyone who likes it has bad taste. You know, it's just me. You know, like I just think like just more honesty maybe in a way of just being able to say like I didn't enjoy this thing, but I can still recognize the positives in it. Because like I think if you come away, I think there should be very few instances where you like invest in a piece of media, whether it's music, video games, like Instagram content, whatever piece of media you're engaging in, where you're like, I dislike everything about this and have no positives. There should never be. I feel like there should never, not never, but there should only be like a handful of instances where that happens. Like, because it's just like it feels like such a rarity at that point. Like if it's happening consistently, like I feel like it happens with a lot of these critics, it's probably just you know. So
right, I do want to turn the lens back on us for a second, make it a little bit more meta. Why should our audience listen to us in the sense of our opinions on YouTube critics? Like, have any of us ever like tried to criticize film? Like, how can we say something to them in your own definition if we've never tried it ourselves?
I mean, we have criticized film. We've done it like multiple times at this point.
Okay.
You know? But like, I feel like even just putting that aside, I feel like once again, like I feel like take what we say with a grain of salt. Like just because Jason, like we all disagree with Jason about Star Wars, we think he's like wrong.
Right.
but but it's like, yeah, just like you don't have to take what we say as like fact. And I don't think any of us are presenting our opinion as the ultimate, well, except for Jason on Star Wars, but none of us are presenting our opinion as the definite opinion that you have to have.
I
And if
don't
you
know why
disagree
I'm
with us, you're
catching
wrong.
strays out here.
But I do think that even in the past when we have reviewed film, like even back to like our first and second episodes, like I do feel like we were overly critical and like overly harsh on these things. Like that goes against what
Movies
you're
that we
saying of
criticize?
the second one was about the Flash.
I don't
I
think we
didn't
were
watch The
overly
Flash.
harsh on the Flash. I don't think we were overly harsh. I think we were.
But I don't think we said
Roman-
anything good about the Flash, did we?
No, because there was nothing good about that movie. There was
I don't think
nothing.
we did. No,
There's nothing good about that movie.
I mean,
I feel like
but
I feel like maybe that was one of those instances where like, okay, there's nothing good to say. But like
Okay.
if we talked about like if we then also talked about like Oppenheimer or Barbie and we were like we also had nothing to say about either of those movies or like whatever or like when we talked about Across the Spider-Verse, if we had nothing good to say about that and then we had nothing good to say about the Flash, like if it's just like a repeat, I think that's it. If it's like a
Gotcha.
repeated trend of you just like
Okay.
disliking things and having nothing good to say, I think that's when it's like,
Gotcha.
okay, maybe it's like we should take a step back here.
And you're saying that our content at least is like we are trying to progress. We are trying to like learn from our
Yeah.
previous episodes and make our criticisms better.
Yeah, I think like at the very least for us, like I think as we've grown in talking and criticizing like media, because that's a lot. I think that's a lot of what the podcast is like us criticizing various aspects of different media. It's like we've gotten better at recognizing like it's just what we think, and it's not like the definite. And that there's people like I think the music episode is a good example of that because like we all very much. I think our conversation about Drake ultimately is like kind of shows that like where it's like the opinions in this group about Drake and about where he sits as an artist vary, and I think that's like
Right.
we all just have different perspective, and that's what matters, I suppose.
except for me, my opinion is right on everything ever, always.
Yeah.
okay,
I've never
Chairman
had a wrong.
Jason.
Yeah, I've never had a wrong opinion.
Okay. Sorry, Jakar, you were trying to get somewhere about like I don't remember what you're trying to get to.
What I was saying before.
Yeah.
Whatever. Like, oh, I was just saying that just like, like I think for us at least, like there's just like this kind of like I don't know, like we've grown in how we like at least like
Oh,
recognize that
right. No, I was
our
saying
opinions are not
before I try to turn it on us, you were asking about whatever was next on your list, something along the lines of my question towards Ali of like what would get him to start watching critics.
Oh, yeah. So I think cinema wins is what we were talking
Okay.
about.
Yes.
So like for him, I think that what he does is kind of like so my point that I was trying to make with cinema wins at least was kind of just that like he watches movies that he's like I don't love this thing, I don't maybe not even like it, but I can recognize the good in it. And I think that's what all of us, at least it seems like the consensus that we're trying to find is the middle ground between like criticism and appreciation, because I think both of those are important. It's why like I think you can't do one without the other. I think if you're too appreciative, it's gonna make me think you're kind of like a sellout. But if you're too critical, I'm gonna think you don't have anything nice to. Like there has to be like a line between that. And I think cinema wins as someone who's done a good job at finding that. Like between being critical and appreciative. And I don't know. Like I think like that was my point. Yeah, just like
Okay.
job cinema wins.
Gotcha.
Yeah. How long have we gone for? That was kind of all.
Okay. About 45 minutes.
Okay. Do you guys want to keep going? I mean, let
me tell you about why my opinion is never wrong and I'm right about everything.
Yeah, that was pretty much all I had today for this episode.
I'm fine with ending it here. I mean, did you want to get more into Martin Scorsese or try to?
We can talk about Martin Scorsese.
We can talk about Martin Scorsese. Yeah, go ahead. I want your opinion.
Man.
Like, I want your full opinion on Martin Scorsese and Marvel Universe.
With a catch of stray.
Yeah. So we're like, I think moving in more specifically to Martin Scorsese and his criticism of the MCU. I don't think the MCU is ruining film. I think that is such like a old man take to be like the MCU because it's starting to suck. The MCU has sucked for a long time now. The MCU didn't just start sucking. It sucks since like phase two. You know? At least in my opinion, it sucks. It sucked for a while. Like there's still been good movies coming out. Like I don't think Midsummer would have done any better than it did if the MCU doesn't exist because there just would have been another gigantic action franchise like doing that. Like
Right.
how many like artful horror movies or indie films becomes have before the MCU were doing better than like Spider-Man or Predator or Rambo or like any of these movies like or Scarface. Like I think quality film or quality indie art films have been always been harder to sell, and that's just kind of the truth of them, you know. And I don't think rattling against the MCU is going to change that. You know, I don't think directors need because I think his quote was like, you know, directors have to fight back. Fight back against what? Studios are always going to do whatever is going to make them the most money. If that's making like a shitload of super movies, it's that. If that's making a rom com with Julia Roberts and fucking whoever that guy was in Pretty Woman, it's that. You know, like they're going to do that. That's why we got 3 Oceans movies. We didn't need 2 more Oceans movies, but they made a lot of money. You know, so like I don't think like I think treating the MCU as this like flag bearer for the quality of film currently, it's like to me it's not fair and it's like wrong because they've never been. You know, the popular movie has never been. I don't think flag bearer for what is good currently or where film is at currently. That's like kind of my full opinion on Martin Scorsese and the MCU, like and his opinions on the MCU. I just think it's like ridiculous.
Yeah, I mean, I totally understand where you're coming from. And I think that, like, him to say the MCU is what ruined it, I definitely um, see what you're saying about how, like, it's not the MCU, but it has been a trend over the history of cinema where the popular thing gets more and more simplified in order to be more popular. And I mean,
Yeah.
like, going all the way back to I can't remember what year it was. I want to say it was like 52 or 53 with Gone with the Wind, right? Like that
Yeah.
was the most popular film like of all time when it came out. And
Yeah.
that was an incredibly like passionate and like well-made film. And then we fast forward to today where like something like that comes out. If Gone with the Wind came out today, it wouldn't perform nearly as well as it did
Yeah.
um, when it did.
Mm.
And like I think with that, like I think I do think we have to all take into account time period. You know, because even if Gone in the Wind came out, let's say the year did Rocky 4 come out? Do you think Gone with the Wind would have done better than Rocky 4? I don't think so. I think Rocky 4 would have killed Gone with the Wind.
Right.
Killing. So I don't know. I think it's like I don't know. Like I feel, and maybe it's just me being a younger dude that just thinks this whole like our generation's it's bad and what's ruining it. I just dislike that. But I don't know. I feel like there is real credence to like not being like it's not it didn't start with us. You know, this idea of cinema being bad. Like it's been pervasive forever now. Like there's always been someone screaming, "It's bad now," when it isn't bad now. It's just what it is currently. And I think Martin Scorsese is like he's become the old man. I'm sure. So I'm sure when Taxi Driver came out, or when fucking After Hours came out, there was somebody who was like, "This is too dark. Cinema should not be going this." Or Cape Fear, cinema should not be this dark. So like but that's just what it was at the time. That was just what he was making in the 70s and the 80s. You know, that's just what was like just wasn't it was just the time period, you know.
Sure.
So and I think that's
I
just what
mean,
it is with superheroes now.
I think that's just indicative of the trend of like old man yelling at cloud, right? Like as times change, as things change, these people who are older than us are just gonna look back and they're gonna complain about everything we do. They're gonna be like, "Oh, well, we didn't do this when Ryan was your age," and it's like, "Yeah, bro, but nobody cares." It's like these things they change, things are gonna change, and much like many things, there's gonna be a superhero movie crash, and then nobody's gonna want to watch superhero movies anymore. It's just how it kind of goes. And then there'll be a new thing that becomes the popular thing that everybody is gonna be wanting to watch. I don't know what that's gonna be. I mean, you remember like the early '90s or the late '90s, early 2000s, where everything was like a horror movie for no reason. Like there were so many horror movies, and like Final Destination was a big one. I remember. It's like, why is everything Final Destination now? Why is everything?
You remember that in 2000?
Yeah, yeah, I remember that. I was there. I was there.
Oh my goodness.
I was there.
Like,
Yeah, a lot of you people don't know this. I was actually born in '84.
Oh wow.
Yeah,
That's crazy. And you went to
yeah,
high school with us?
yeah.
That's wild.
He's
Well,
real
they should have
special.
never let me in that building. They should have never let me in that building. It was bad for y'all's safety, if we're being honest. But yeah, it's just like all generations have these cycles where they go into like everything is reduced to this. Like you mentioned the rom coms, like the mid 2000s is all rom coms. Every movie was a rom com, or even in the same period of time. You guys remember when there was like the live action, like animated movies, like the Tom and Jerry movie,
Oh
the Looney
yeah.
Tunes movie, like that kind of era stuff where they're like, oh, we're gonna mix live action with cartoons. It's like, did that ruin cinema, y'all? I think we're chilling. I think everything's fine. So
I
it's
think
just
it
kind of
will balance out. I think it will all like. I think a new popular genre. Like I just think Martin Scorsese's mad that nobody wants to watch his 3 hour The Irishman.
nobody wants to watch.
You're not gonna go to the
Horror
Netflix
movies.
amusement park just to go to the Irishman attraction?
The Irishman ride. You get
Bro,
shot at the
he's
end of
gonna go to the Irishman ride, and they're just gonna call him slurs for an hour. That's all. That's all it is.
The
That's
Irishman,
all
the
it
Irishman ride is your like, it's like a lazy river, but like the whole thing is 80-year-old Robert De Niro is chasing you, playing the 30-year-old Robert De Niro.
Yeah, the Irishman is just you driving through Boston.
They make you. They in fact they sit there and they make you watch the whole movie over again, sitting
Oh my
right
god,
there.
yeah.
All right.
But yeah,
Ali, what do you think?
Any,
What do you think about Marvel and declining
Scorsese?
cinema? That's all he's got.
I think it's just a phase, and we're just gonna like go out of that phase and go into something else that people will then shit on again until the next new thing.
Right.
Gibbity, Riz, Phantom Tax.
Okay. Okay. All right.
I have nothing to say to that.
What?
All right. Keep going, Ollie. Do you have anything else?
That just threw me off. Was that like a spell you casted?
Confusion spell.
Skibbity Riz Phantom Tax? No, that's I'm just in touch with the youth, you know what I'm saying?
Oh.
Oh wow. Okay.
But yeah, I think it's just a phase that like the cinema world is just gonna grow out of.
Okay.
But honestly, Marvel, I don't hate it. I think it's okay. Like,
you're not there for the best like story in the world. You're there for entertainment, which is what it is.
Yeah. Just like I'm just there to have a good time, you know?
I get that. Okay. Well, here's the question. If Marvel is going to phase out, what's the next phase? If we can identify what the next phase is, we're going to make a lot of money.
Yeah.
Just hop on it before it gets hot. We'll be all set.
Well, what's coming out now?
I feel like high school, like coming of age, like the comedy is coming back because like Theater Camp just came out. Bottom just did really well. Even like kind of like
those things.
Theater Camp was straight to Hulu.
It's still really good though.
Yeah.
Like I just think like kind of maybe not even like but like the chick flick because like Barbie just fucking like killed it, man. They're making like a Bratz
I don't think
movie,
that means it's coming back.
I mean,
they're making a Bratz movie?
I think they are making a Bratz or some other doll is getting a movie.
They're making a cinematic universe with the freaking Mattel properties, which is crazy because they're making
Bratz isn't Mattel.
Well, yeah, I know Bratz.
It's not. What is it? Is it Hasbro?
I think so. Yeah.
Gotcha.
Well, like, you know how Bratz
isn't
like,
Mattel
all the
Hasbro?
money it needs? No, they're different.
It's all owned by BlackRock.
Yeah, it's all owned. Hey, in fact, you guys want to know how to end this podcast? We need all of our people We need our whole audience, all 6 of you. We need you guys to come. We need you to fly to New York. We need to all protest outside of Black Lives headquarters. That's what we need. You want to fix cinema? That's how you do it, right then and there.
All right. Does anybody else have any points on Martin Scorsese, or is that it? We said all we can say.
Did you guys say what you think the next thing is going to be? If it's not,
No, I have not
superheroes?
said what I think the next phase is. That's a great
No,
question.
I think it's gonna.
You said chick flick. Mm-hmm.
I think it's gonna be like the niche horror movies are gonna be like the whole thing.
Yeah, that's what I was gonna say.
Yeah, I mean, like Winnie the Pooh, like Cocaine Bear, Megan, like all of those are like starting to really bring up traction.
Yeah.
Saw just came
Friday
out.
Night or at Freddy's or whatever.
Oh yes,
Five
Five
Nights
Nights
at
at
Freddy's?
Freddy's.
Bro,
That's
I'm
right.
going to go
Yeah.
see that on premiere day, next Thursday.
You've
Record yourself saying that's the bite of 87.
Yeah.
That's the
You
bottom of
won't-
87.
Dude, you're gonna see me in the movie. You're gonna be in the middle of the movie. I'm gonna scream, "Huh? The bite of 87!" And I'm gonna point at you. That's how I'm gonna do it.
Okay. Okay.
Yeah, I agree. I think niche horror, but I still think that horror isn't gonna be like super mass appeal. I think there's gonna be something else that's like super mass appeal. It's still gonna be action, but I don't know like what type of action that's gonna be yet.
I mean, the action
Actually,
rom-com.
I lied. It's gonna be video game adaptations. That's all it's gonna be. After the Sonic movie is done really well, like not even joking around. The Sonic movie did well. And the sequel did well. The Super Mario Brothers movie did really well. What Netflix has been doing on it with the anime front of it, with like they're doing the Cyberpunk show they had did really well. Castlevania Nocturne, the new Far Cry show that they're doing. All of that, I feel like that's gonna be the new thing. We've overdid superhero properties. Now we're gonna overdo video game properties.
I
I think horror is still gonna be like pretty big, but like in the background, kind of. They're just gonna spam it for like the next 3 to 5 years. I feel like.
I mean, horror is always been in the background because it's rated R. You know, it's hard. You can't market that to.
Yeah,
people.
that's why it's not gonna be as big.
Yeah.
But it's still gonna be there.
I feel
Something
like
that
the
I want to
rom-com
come back
chick
and
flick-
go ahead.
I was saying I feel like the rom-com and the chick flick, just because like I feel like we're falling in love with gossip and that. Like, have you like just like everything surrounding that Sydney Sweeney and that one dude? Like, I
Glenn
feel like
Powell.
people are kind of people are kind of like falling in love with that stuff again. So like, just getting 2 hot people together, make like a shitty like dating movie. I feel like people are gonna eat that shit up.
Yeah.
Isn't Sydney Sweeney's family like all racist and driving trucks with Trump flags on it? Like, wasn't that
I
a
don't know
whole
that
thing?
much.
Yeah, that is. Yes.
Okay, okay.
It is
good for
though.
her.
But
She looks like it. She looks like it. She looks like she.
Like I said, everyone's entitled to their opinion.
Hey, I'm not saying your opinion is wrong. Go ahead, vote for who you want to vote for. This is America. This is a free country.
okay.
Do what you do.
I just want to say that something I want to come back, but I don't think like there's any signs for it to come back because I want like classic sci-fi to come back.
Like Flash Gordon classic sci-fi.
Yeah, like Flash Gordon, like original Star Wars, like the first Alien, like that, like classic sci-fi.
Super pulpy, pulpy kind of.
Yeah.
Okay.
I want that to come
I
back.
get you.
I
I
think
think
that
it's hard though. 'Cause, like,
I don't
a lot
know.
of
I think the
appeal goes-
creator is
yeah.
kind of like pushing us in the opposite direction, being like, "Oh, we have to be like super meta about the time. Like AI is gonna kill us."
Yeah.
I hope it
sense.
does.
I think it's hard though for like that kind of sci-fi to become, because I think with a lot of, at least the movies you named, a lot of them become even more popular after the fact because of
Right.
how influential they were. So like
Yes.
it like whatever comes out now, like I think Her is a good example. Like I feel like Her is not going to really be like looked at as like, wow, that was super good for another like while, because like I do think Her is pretty influential for how we like, especially now with kind of with AI and our fears, like how that movie kind of like it does.
There
I
are
feel-
already AI girlfriend apps. There are already AI
Yeah,
girlfriend
you know.
apps.
But I mean, like,
So-
even thinking about like Ex Machina is
Yeah.
way too like pretentious for its own good.
Yeah, that's definitely true.
It's like
You know what?
they're making extremely bold claims about like the future of like robotics and AI, and then like a lot of them are wrong. And so like just watching it, even like when did Ex Machina come out? Like less than 10 years ago, right?
I think it was 27.
Was it
I don't know.
2016,
early-
2017?
Earlier than
Yeah.
that.
Yeah, like it's crazy just how wrong that it is. And so I do see like it is just like
2014.
2014.
Dang.
Okay. So when it comes to like classic sci-fi, like yeah, there's too much that it's inspired already for it to come back.
I would love for cartoons that only exist to sell toys to come back. Bring back, like, I want like a really good season of Yu-Gi-Oh. I want like bring back Beyblade. Is Beyblade still going on? Bring that back.
They need to bring back Beyblade for sure.
Bring it back, bro. Bring back Bakugan. I
They
want.
need to
I'll
bring
buy
back the metal Beyblades. My,
True.
Bro,
Dude, yes, bro.
True, no more
I
my
want
plastic.
girlfriend's little brother, he has the shitty plastic ones, and it makes me so mad every time I touch it.
That's
Do you remember
unfortunate.
the ones from 2004, 2005 that were also like really big?
Oh yeah.
Like the really big ones.
Oh, yeah.
Those
Mhm.
things hurt. You got hit with those, you were giving me some pain.
We gotta do like a whole episode of us like fan casting the Beyblade movie.
They can't see the Beyblade. Who you
Shia
like?
LaBeouf would definitely be in it. Shia
Shia-
LaBeouf, he's gonna voice the Beyblade.
He's a voice to Beyblade.
Yeah.
Just
Really?
how like
Talk?
he's poked out the whole time.
No, he's just
Yeah.
gonna do like the Foley for it, like chink chink.
Yeah.
And
Okay. Is that
And
all
one more
we
thing.
had?
one more
Oh,
thing.
okay.
Blade Runner needs to become its own cinematic universe. I need everybody
It
to
doesn't.
send us. We need
doesn't.
8 Blade Runner movies. It doesn't matter. Only for me. Only for me.
disagree.
I want to be the only one who.
I
should be
think
the
Blade
only one
Runner
who's
is
not
one of
gonna see
those franchises which like we should stop touching it. I think the first two. I think the only good one is the second one. And, and they leave that in such a good place that I don't think that.
They should make another Drive movie though, like
Oh,
a
of
prequel to
course.
Drive.
Prequel
I watched the
Drive,
fuck
yeah.
out of a prequel to Drive. Yeah, he's
called-
literally more literally me content.
Drove.
It's called Permit.
walking there.
Driving school.
Yeah,
Driving
it's
school.
him with his permit. He has to have a legal guardian in the car with him.
Yeah, we gotta write the Drive movie, the Drove.
Drove.
Okay, are we?
I think
good?
that's it. Yeah.
That was our today's episode on Martin Scorsese and his dumbass opinion on the MCU. And his dumbass opinion on the MCU, and that was also we also talked about kind of our feelings on the YouTube critic space and how we feel as though they aren't being necessarily fair or being honest with their criticisms, and why we think and how we think at least our podcast tries to subvert that idea of criticism. So I am Chikari Khalil Gatson, and that was the OTOT podcast.
Make sure to follow us on Instagram, Twitter,
yeah.
Threads, or X. I'm sorry. Yeah,
especially
find us on YouTube, Spotify, Apple Music, not Apple Music, Apple Podcasts.
Yeah.
All right.
Yeah.
And yeah, all right.
Yeah.
Goodbye.
Yeah.
Love you.